Homegrown Radio.
Excellent. It is your boy Tobi, aka Tobi. I did say it twice, you know that I mean it. And guys, I'm sitting here with a bunch of brain activists, brain practitioners, psychologists, all of that stuff, all of that good stuff. As you see their smiles, yes, it's the Colgate smile. So you know it's clean. You know, say that's part of, the first step of love. Yes, I mean, look, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling all right. You know, we've had conversations before. But Stephanie Pike, ladies and gentlemen, and Thuso.
Yes, thank you.
Before we even get on, how do you guys there's conversations that we have with people, right? Before you approach a conversation, is there an angle that you take? Like, okay, I'm going to talk. Is it just like, okay, I'm just going to talk to this person? Or is it like, do you think about it first before you talk? Because there's people that just say whatever they want to say, and then there's people that have calculated. You know what I'm saying?
Well, from a brain practitioner's perspective, that is an interesting question because before I start talking to a person, I've already analyzed them.
Hey!
I've already analyzed them, so I know exactly what to say, how to say it, what to ask, when to ask, and, how to get answers from them, Yeah.
Thuso?
I think with me it depends, right? But I don't think I'm at a stage where I can actually get answers from the people.
Yeah.
But I think it depends. If I'm going in just to have casual talk, then I don't normally think hard about it.
Okay.
But if I have a motive, then that's when I try to be strategic about how I approach the person.
Okay. Yeah.
How do I open the topic?
Okay, so is this more like, does it depend on the people or does it depend on the situation?
I think it depends on situation.
It depends on people.
Okay.
Both.
Okay, so right here we're speaking. Obviously, it's a podcast. We're talking.
Yeah.
And I have an angle in which I need to speak to you guys.
Yeah.
But off of here, if we're at Conga, right? I'm not gonna have the same angled approach as we're speaking.
And that Conga is for groove.
No, but that's exactly what I'm saying, though. You know what I'm saying? So I'm essentially just agreeing with you, with what you're saying, because it's profound. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Why would you want to talk about what the brain does at Congo? You know what I'm saying? Because that's what you want to let loose. You don't always have to be serious all the time.
Yeah, true.
But that's not what we're here for. This is just a mind game, basically. For you to also kind of learn as well, as you go around. How do you approach the way that you talk to people? How do you approach about your day? Because remember, you're one person among 7 billion other people around the world, and you've got your own circle. How's talking important as well? So you talk a lot to people, in your speeches. Obviously, explain what it is, what you do, and you've explained it before, but I think in depth and why it's important to talk to them, those type of people.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to talking, I feel like talking is some sort of therapy in itself, because a lot of the times you find that people are bottling up a lot of emotions. People don't have an outlet. People don't have someone to just listen to them. It's not necessarily someone talking back to you. It's you just talking, releasing what you are feeling. And so I feel like talking is like I said, therapy in itself. And so my motive is, and her motive is, to actually encourage people to speak about how they're feeling, because when we internalize stuff, we then act out in ways that, are not healthy.
Yeah.
And then we do things to ourselves that are not healthy either. And we develop unhealthy habits, both physically and mentally, because I feel like the two are in line. They're together. Yeah.
What do you think, Thuso?
I love talking very much.
You do.
And I agree with her. I think I'm going to be agreeing with her on most things. I agree with her. Talking is a form of therapy, right? And I think for me, most of the time, I try to tap into the mental state of people, and I think that can only be reached through talking. You can always know how a person really is through their speech. It could literally be by the words that they normally say. Yo, what's up? Maybe some vulgar, whatever, you know. So you get to know, okay, this is the type of person I'm dealing with.
Also, the Bible does say, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so usually when a person says something, it's usually how they're feeling at that time, or it's usually how they've been feeling for a while, in fact. So, and then that's why they always say like, okay, alcohol brings out, people tell the truth. It's because it loosens you up and you feel vulnerable. And so you say what's been on your heart. And, that's why,
How do non-drunkies, people who like, okay, there's, your alcohol, there's your weed and all that stuff. So people who don't do those things and take those substances, how do they, you say it relaxes the muscles and it gets them loose. How do they do that without it, like, it's a personal choice. Okay. That is a personal choice for a person to release. But there's people like Thuso and myself who are there to get people to relax and release and be vulnerable. But it's not every day that you find that people are vulnerable. It's not every day that you find that someone is willing to speak. Someone may have come from a background where speaking wasn't allowed, where expressing yourself was disrespect, especially in an African home. And so they've had to grow up thinking that they shouldn't, and then they become this horrible person that everybody judges, but nobody knows what they've had to go through in their past. And so it's up to us to then unlearn those habits of not speaking, because then what it does, it breeds bitterness. It breeds a lot of things, but all are not healthy. Wow, you brought up a very, very important point in terms of us as an African, people within our culture. A young person, no matter how dumb an older person might be, you still need to, kneel down or bow down to them and have a certain tone in your voice when speaking to them. And you don't express yourself. The less you express, the more godly a child is. Oh no, she's a good girl. Thuso doesn't speak because... But they see that as a good thing that Thuso doesn't speak. So what do you feel... I know you have a son, right? And I'm sure because of this, you let him express whatever it is. He's free to do and say whatever he can. Obviously, that's not bad, but
Well, when it comes to parenting, it's a bit different from being a brain practitioner or psychologist. Like, it's your child, so it's a bit different. But I do encourage him to feel what you are feeling. If your knee is sore, express it. I'm not saying cry, because I also, as a mother, don't want a soft child, soft boy. But at the same time, you can still hold this, like being a boy at the same time, but being able to say that, Mom, my knee is sore. Not for him to be enjoying the pain by himself in his room, and yet it could be causing even more damage. What if he needs medical attention? But because I've said you need to be tough, I'm actually causing more damage. And so I do actually allow him to express himself, to feel if he's hurt, if he's feeling whatever he's feeling, so that later on when he's 16 or 17 and he's telling me that, oh no, but you didn't allow me to express myself, you didn't allow me to speak, I will say, no, but I empowered you to, I gave you the platform to, so that he's not bitter later to say that, no, that time when I was 7, there's a lot of that time when I was 10, that time when I was 12, and you didn't pick me up that day.
You were not there for me.
You were not there, or you were late. I was the last one to be picked up at school. Those things have a lasting, strong impact on us. And so on us as adults and also as children. And so we as parents have to, y'all are not parents, right? have to encourage and empower our children to speak within boundaries, though. Not just to say whatever he wants to me or to be rude, no. But if he's feeling a certain way, I need to know as a parent so that I address it and that I'm raising a boy that will not be bitter, that will not be angry towards women or towards men, because he's able to express himself. Bitterness comes from bottling up emotions. That's where it comes from. It's something that it grows in you. It does. And if it's not nipped in the bud or cut at the root, then it will just continue to grow.
A monster is not born, it's made.
That is true. Like, in as much as I might not be a parent, I've got a niece and we're quite close with her. And she has this thing of crying, and she cries so much. that sometimes it irritates me. It annoys me. Like, okay. So I got to a point where I'm like to her, okay,
Sorry,
I
how old is she?
understand she's 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I understand that, okay, when you're crying, you're not just crying. There's something. So
There's an
please
outlet.
communicate with
What
me
is that?
before you cry what that is, you know. And for me, sometimes it's like, I'm studying psychology. Why can't I even understand this thing?
Gosh, wow, that's very powerful. Because in as much as there are the professions and everything, humans will surprise you, and humans are amazed. In as much as you can find out certain acts and whatever, it's inconsistent. I think I'm not a brain practitioner. I don't do psychology, but between the two, I'm sure both of you will agree with me on this statement, and you can disagree if you want. But with human beings, they are inconsistent in the way they act.
Yeah.
There's no consistency. There's no okay. This is the because every age
it will
and
surprise
gap
you.
will change the person.
Yeah.
So I'm like this guy because I'm doing this and I'm focused on my music and I'm focused on that. As soon as I get a girl, I switch the way that I act, and then the person that got a girl is now thinking of being a husband. You're a different man than you were when you were focusing on your music and just being a teenager. Now you want to be a husband. What changes? The way you're responsible with things, the way you respond, and then you're just a family man. So just different periods of a person with different ages and stuff and experiences as well changes the person. So I know it's not easy, with the psychology and the brain practitioning because also people are not only entitled sometimes, they expect a lot of things because of a certain title, right?
Yeah.
So you aspiring, becoming or working on still studying psychology and you being a qualified brain practitioner, with the title comes some responsibilities,
yes, it does,
right?
it does.
Everyone's.
Yeah.
So if you can share what are those responsibilities?
Well, it's basically taking care of, first of all, our personal mental state, our personal being, well-being, and then other people, because there's no way you can be a psychologist or brain practitioner or counselor without empathy. And so we also have our own struggles. And that is why I personally even haven't been here for 3 weeks, because I was just going through the most. I had suicide attempts after suicide attempts, and even just yesterday, someone called me and she's like, "I'm out," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" I mean, those are the type of calls that I get, and so if I am not in the right mental state, there's no way I can also assist other people, and so that's why I also just took a bit of a break because I just couldn't function mentally. It was just too much mental clutter, and so it's also important to have that as a brain practitioner, as a psychologist, or anyone who's in the industry of, empathy itself, and helping people. It's important that you have your personal self-love, time for yourself, because you find that some of the happiest people, comedians and stuff, they commit suicide. They're the ones that you're like, what? No, but she seemed very happy. But then because they're dealing with other people's issues, making everyone else laugh, who's making them laugh?
Wow.
And so you could find that the people that seem the happiest are actually the most depressed. And so it's very important that a person is so whole with who they are and have a firm foundation of self and self-love before you can actually go out and help people. It's not always easy. It's not. I've had many mental breaks in just the past few weeks. I just couldn't function, and so I know exactly how it feels to get to a point where you're like, nah, I'm good. But it seems like it's an escape. But at the same time, you never know what's on the other side.
I want to ask something. I saw somebody on social media say suicide is a form of self-care, and I was not so settled with
that. Was a statement?
Yes.
Jeez, okay.
And there was now the next statement where they were explaining why they said that, to say a person will commit suicide when they feel that, I've had enough. A lot has been going on, I've been tolerating, but now I'm done. Get to a point where I'm trying to now eliminate this pain that I'm feeling, and that would now be the form of care. You know, so I want to know what you think about it.
Well, I don't know who that person was who said suicide is a sign. I don't really want to comment too much on suicide because I feel like it's a personal decision. However, if it's a sign of self-care, there is also a bit of selfishness in it because you are leaving people behind who are going to grieve and be almost damaged for life, for the rest of their lives because of your selfish act. One thing I always say is the only thing constant in life is change. You will never stay in that situation or in such a tight situation. It's a personal choice. You have to do something about it. You have to shift your mindset to see the beauty in the darkness. Right? And then as soon as you shift your mindset, your situation, your circumstance changes. It's just like there's a story in the Bible, I think it was Hagar, I can't remember, I don't want to misquote, but she was thirsty and I think her son was thirsty too. And then I think there was someone that came and said, but can you see the water there? She couldn't, but it was there. But because her mindset was so negative, she couldn't see the water. And eventually she actually drank the water and she's like, but I can see it now. So it was just a mindset shift. And that is what I constantly encourage people that attempt suicide, that your situation can change. Your situation can change. I myself wanted to commit suicide at some point, but I had to tell myself that no, I need to help more people. And so I'm not going to do it, right? Wow. But it was tough. Many attempts, in fact, many attempts. And so I had to tell myself that there's someone that's going to listen to me one day and change their mind. There's someone that called me the other day, said they're about to jump from Nelson Mandela Square. And I said, okay, jump. And they were like, what? I mean, you were telling me to jump at it wasn't funny at the time, but I was like, jump. And they were like, you have been helping me all this time. And I'm like, you see how it feels when you don't show a person empathy. Like, you're going to do it and you're going to leave people behind. So jump, and then people are going to come and get your body there. And then they started thinking about it and they're like, no, but that's selfish, that what I'm about to do is selfish, But I also had it. I was like, no, at some point you get to a point where you just can't help the situation anymore. And so they changed their mind, and they've got a very successful business. Very successful business. And they were like, thank you for telling me to jump. Because I jumped into success. And so, I used a different approach for that person because we had been going on and on about it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it all boils down to talking. Talk about it. Talk about how you're feeling. Talk about when you're down. Call someone. Not everybody is going to judge you. There's that one random person on the street that you can just go and pour out your heart to. You never know that their situation is actually worse than yours.
Absolutely. A simple hello could be like, oh no, they see me. I exist. So being, especially right now, the situation with, Ricky Mercado, as we know him as King Quantino, Ricky Rick. He had a beautiful wife. He had 2 kids. He had a brilliant life on the outside going on, right? And that's what we see, and it's easy for us to be like, but he's boss song. He's got it going on, and he was when you say Ricky Rick, personally, I would say it was more culture movement. You get your music, you get your fashion, you get those people who push business, but he was like just the culture alone. So obviously, when he left, right, just the selfish part was the fact that. Not even just the family. He left a legacy and people and other bossongers. They were like, Ricky's the one that made me do this. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm going to push on. You know what I'm saying? So when that tree falls over, the rest of the trees don't see a way to grow because that was their main one. So just like that, a lot of young people, not just boys, even girls that were probably inspired by him, that want to move. And it might not only be music, it could be anything else, even your brain practicing or whatever it is. Some people get, an icon does not necessarily inspire you because of the work that they do in the field that they're in. They inspire you because of the person that they are initially. I don't know if that makes sense. So a lot of people, that's their pillar of strength. So getting into, yes, you deal with a whole lot of people, and with your story, people were the reason why you didn't leave this earth, which is really funny, right?
Yeah.
You are studying people. You're in the process of studying it, right? So the essential thing is basically we need each other.
Yeah,
right.
we do, and we need to talk.
We need to talk, right? So right now, as people are obviously viewing and listening as well, as a woman and as two lovely women right here sitting, why was the reason you looked at, okay, there's a gap in the nurturing of guys? Like, why was that because I see that both of you stand for not just psychology and all of that stuff, but then there's a specific market that goes towards it, right? But why do you care so much about the young boy that grows to be a man?
Well, with the issue of the young boy, I think that is a second podcast, to be honest, because it's so broad. However, I feel like boys lack male mentors.
Okay.
They really lack male mentors because men are so broken because they're not allowed to be vulnerable, and so they cannot mentor, they cannot assist because they're going through the most as well. And so there is a lack of just genuine mentorship for young boys. And so that is a topic that I think I'd love to make the second podcast.
Fair enough.
On talk therapy.
Fair enough.
Hashtag talk therapy.
Hashtag talk therapy. Hashtag spread love. Hashtag love yourself. In order for you to spread that love, you can't spread love if you don't have it.
Yeah.
You can't have 0 and give 100.
Yeah.
Hashtag you need people. Hashtag
boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys. And hashtag let's smile and laugh more.
Yeah.
Even if it's not.
Suicide is not the option.
Right. Hi, my name is Thuso, Mokoena, and I'll say with the name and surname because it's serious like that.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Pike. I talk about deep discussions, and my discussions are deeper than the discussions themselves.
My name is Tobi, aka Tobi. I did say it twice. You know that I mean it.
Hashtag boys will be boys.